Modern Dadhood. Modern Dadhood podcast.
Do you want to start recording our podcast?
You mean the podcast that's an ongoing conversation about the joys, challenges, and general insanity of being a dad in this moment?
We're 70 some odd episodes in, and still without looking at a script for that one thing,
I
still have trouble recalling it sometimes.
You know what it is? It's like, it's stage fright. You know, I got the camera on me. I got you, judging
Always
me,
judging.
looking at me.
Well, who are you, man?
Me? My name's Mark Checkett. I happen to be a dad. To twin boy, 4.5-year-olds. Ask them when their next birthday is and they will tell you 6 months. They're very excited about the 6-month thing. Means a lot to them.
I'm 4.5.
And when do you turn 5, little boy?
Oh, at 4.5.
Yeah, that's great. And when do you turn 5, little boy?
I'm half.
All right, do you know where your mother is, little boy? I think it's time to get you home. Hey, what's your name, by the way? Adam.
My name's Adam. Adam J. Flaherty. I'm a dad of 2 daughters who are 8.5 and 5.5. For anyone just tuning into the podcast for the first time,
Welcome.
You've got mail.
So glad to have you here.
And this is a great episode. If this is your first, you're going to love this one.
You're coming in at the right time if this is your first.
Because our guest today, Mark and I chatted with him earlier, is Bobby Moynihan. You'll know him from Saturday Night Live, if you've ever
Heard of it?
been aware of that program. He was in Drunk History. He's voiced a zillion different cartoon characters. He's done so much, and he was a total delight to chat with earlier today.
Oh, hey, and if you're new to the cast, even if you're an old listener who hasn't taken the time yet, you should subscribe to the show. We're on, Adam, what are we on? Apple Podcasts. We're on Amazon, Stitcher, Spotify, all your favorite platforms that you love listening to your shows and your music and stuff on. We're there too. And we'd love it if you hit the subscribe button, maybe left us a rating or a review, because that would be huge for us and it would go a long way if you could even just a short little review. What's a good example of a review, Adam?
Very much liked.
Yeah. Didn't not hate. It all helps. You know what else would be huge? Word of mouth. Do that too while you're at it. All right. Enough of that yammering on.
Oh, wait, though. Speaking of reviews, we had such a strong positive reaction to our Kisses and Disses, our new segment last week. I want to do it again this week.
Let's do it. I had a great time. With that segment.
So shortly, you will be hearing our conversation from earlier today with Bobby Moynihan, followed by a second installment of Kisses and Disses.
Aren't you lucky, listener?
I wanted to ask you something, Mark.
You had a question for me?
We're getting pretty deep into September, which means Halloween's around the corner.
My favorite time of year.
I know that you probably think I'm going to talk about my problem with sugar and Halloween candy. I wasn't even going to go there. I just wanted to know, are the kids getting psyched about it? Are they talking about costumes? Are they getting into the Halloween spooky spirit?
Look, I am here if you want to talk about your sugar problem. I just want to say that. I just want to say that I'm always here for that, dude. It doesn't even have to be near Halloween, okay?
I have immense guilt over this, but if I bring it up, I'm going to do it on my terms, man.
Okay? I'm just saying. You see this shoulder? See this shoulder right here?
Yeah,
it's waiting for you. The kids they're getting pretty stoked about it. Yes, and we did some sort of fall harvest themed decoration outside. We were kind of looking at some of our Halloween decorations, getting pretty stoked about it. But the kids are in this phase right now where every time you ask them what they want to dress up as, it's different. And it's and sometimes it's like, I want to be a Ninja Turtle. It's like something we can picture and either probably make a costume for or go buy something. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then once in a while, we get this answer from one of my kids yesterday. I want to be a monster with so many eyes, which is very cool, very creative.
That's very clever. And you could have a lot of fun with that costume.
Yeah. I mean, it could be super cool. I just don't know what he's going to say tomorrow.
Right.
And that's the sticky situation that we're in, is like, we kind of want to get going on costumes, but we're also nervous because we don't want to go through, 5 costume changes before the big day.
I am excited for Halloween shows and movies and music.
Oh yeah. That's why, this is why it's one of my favorite times of the year, because, mainly because of the movies.
Good movies. I love Halloween music. And over the last few years, in fact, here's a good little segue, actually. Oh. Over the last few years, there's been a little phenomenon called David S. Pumpkins.
Any questions?
I'll tell you, that era of SNL had like some really amazing comics, and people who were so versatile, could just do so many different kinds of characters.
Yeah, for sure.
That era when Bobby Moynihan was on the show, that was one of the golden ages of SNL as far as I'm concerned. And then maybe like, mid to late 90s when I was watching a lot of it then was really amazing too.
The Will Ferrell, Sherry O'Terry kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Norm Macdonald. Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, Norm Macdonald's Weekend Update was awesome. Underrated? Is that fair? Is it underrated?
I've always thought that Norm Macdonald was the most underrated Weekend Update host, but I just thought he was so fucking funny.
He was. He only got funnier as he got older too, I feel like. He just kept getting funnier.
Dude didn't even have to say anything, and he could make it. Honestly, I feel like Bobby Moynihan is the same way. Sometimes he'll just make a facial expression, and it's like enough to make you burst into laughter. He gets this look in his eyes. I don't know. I don't know that there's any reason to not just go ahead and play it back right now.
I will say this one last thing is that I don't know about what you expected going into it. I expected to laugh at some things that he said, but we did get a little deep, didn't we? At one point or another in that conversation,
we got a little deep and we got a little dark.
What do you say? Hey, and Adam. Hey, Adam. What do you say we relive that chat that we had with Bobby?
Sounds like a great plan to me.
All right. I'll get the tape machine out of the basement.
I'm excited to welcome Bobby Moynihan to the conversation. Bobby's a dad to one daughter who is 5 years old, as I understand it. But please, Bobby, interrupt me if any of this is wrong, because all of my information here comes from the tabloids. So I don't know how reliable it is. Bobby is an actor, comedian who's been involved in most every funny show, movie, or cartoon in the last 15 years or so. He's here today to talk about his first children's book, Not All Sheep Are Boring, which actually releases today, the day of this recording, September 20th. So congratulations, Bobby, and thank you for joining us on Modern Dadhood.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And it's not true. I have 56 children, and they're all...
Wow. That's amazing.
How have you kept this a secret for so long?
You're incredibly busy.
And I'm very private.
Well, and we'll keep it that way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So you, Fallon yesterday, Modern Dadhood today. That's a couple of big days for you.
Yeah, I'm still reeling. I can't believe it.
So yes, congratulations are in order. The release date is today, which is very awesome. How does it feel? I mean, this has been months. I'm not sure exactly how long you started.
Over a year, I think. Yeah. A little over a year has been the process. But yeah, I'm glad it's finally out. It's funny. It's weird to see other people holding it up. That's the crazy part of it. Yeah, I'm really happy it's out and people can finally see it.
Are you doing anything fun to celebrate the occasion?
No. No, I'm trying to nap in a hotel later, I think.
Oh, that's awesome though.
I'm old now. The book is out, the work is done. I'm very happy. Who knows? I'll have a cupcake tonight.
There you go. Go wild with it.
Treat myself. I'll go insane.
So your daughter's 5. That part was accurate?
Yes, that is true.
We're all in the same ballpark then. So I've got girls who are 8 and 5, and Mark's got two twin boys who are coming up on 5 in about 6 months. And so I think
very close.
we're all going through some of the
Thank you.
same stuff. I need to tell you, you are particularly famous in our household right now, but probably not for a role that is one of your most notable. But if I use the name Liam, does that ring a bell?
Wow, no.
You didn't even
Not
know that
off
you've
the
ever played.
bat.
What if I went, is it you, Liam?
Oh, you got a deep cut there,
Wow.
Adam.
I don't know.
Nice job.
Oh, wait.
This is from Gilly.
Oh, amazing. I was going to say, yeah, there you go.
So we've been showing my my young daughters.
Very good forte, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. We've been showing my young daughters some SNL, and they fell in love with Gilly, and they particularly
As they
love
should.
Liam because in one of the segments, you're holding in a nervous toot at a science fair, and to them, that's like the funniest thing in the world.
Doesn't get funnier.
No, until they find the stoner manatee. Then
So it's a long path, a hard path through life.
let's chat a little bit about your book. For dads listening, basically, to summarize, this is a bedtime story, which essentially makes the argument that counting sheep is not a great way to relax, right? Because sheep are not boring. And in fact, they're unique and very nuanced personalities. You've included this little toad character that I picture as, and I don't know if this is intended, he's the narrator, but he narrates, when I'm reading it in my head, he narrates in your voice. Is that sort of like, was that sort of your vision for this?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much me just as a toad.
Okay.
Going like, I can prove that not all sheep are boring, and being very cocky about it, and then realizing slowly that I might be wrong and that they actually, some are boring enough to make you fall asleep. Even though they have jetpacks and can be unique, some of them are still pretty boring.
I love some of the little props. I love that he's holding a cup of coffee at one point. He's like standing and he's sort of precariously just waving the coffee around. That's perfect.
Yeah, Julie Rowan-Zach, the artist who did the illustrations, is absolutely fantastic. She blew me away. Every one of them is just fantastic. They all have so much character, and I love it. She did a fantastic job.
There's actually one page I was curious about. Like, there's a page in there with a white tree and a bunch of hats on it that immediately reminded me of a fantastic classic book called Caps for Sale. And I wondered if that was intentional or...
It wasn't. A lot of people have been saying that maybe it was on Julie's side. I'm not sure, but it wasn't on my side. Honestly, just there to hide a Giants helmet in the tree. My sister's son, Quinn, we're all big Giants fans. I hid a lot of things in the background of the book. There's a lot of little secret things, but one of them is that Giants helmet hanging in that tree, kind of a tribute to my dad and stuff. But yeah, there's a couple little secret things. If you look on the first page, I'm a big Lost fan, and I don't know if you guys watched Lost, but if you look on the first page, all the numbers on the sheep are the numbers from Lost.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
I hit a lot of things throughout the book to make myself laugh.
Yeah, big
That's
Lost
great.
fans. Yeah, so Terry O'Quinn, who played John Locke, of course, is an old friend who I've been in touch with him for many years.
He has the same birthday as my daughter.
Oh, does he? That's cool.
no way.
That's cool. Yeah, and so he was one of our early guests on the podcast. So there's a Lost connection that runs through our storyline here. All of these different characters that you've developed, I mean, they're all so funny and lovable in their own way. These various sheep, they have to I have to imagine that some of them reflect, traits of people that does every sheep have like some connection to a person in your life?
Not everyone, but some definitely. My best friend growing up and still now to this day, Mike Henry, a good buddy of mine. He's my brother. I don't have a blood brother, but it's Mike, and he had a dog named Pickles in college that he loved, and that's why the sheep is named Mike H, who loves pickles. But like it's little stuff like that. My mom's name was Julie. She did love coffee and dancing, stuff like that. But like, but then there's a whole bunch that aren't, that just are funny names or just names that stuck out to me for some reason.
Do you know anybody who does enjoy? Is it a light wind?
That's Quinn. That's my
Quinn.
sister's kid.
Right.
No, I just like the idea of like that's where you start to show that some of the sheep might actually be a little boring.
I mean, I have to assume that the inspiration for the book, came from trying to get your own daughter down to, to relax her mind at bedtime. Is there more of a kind of backstory there?
No, I think we're the opposite. I think my wife, just the idea of like right before bed is when I get most silly, I think, and my daughter, like we get real giddy around that time. And the idea of just why do people count sheep to fall asleep? Is it because they're boring? And the idea of playing different characters and doing different voices and just all these fantastical sheep that, you can make up and making up your own sheep and having a good time with that right before bed. Lots of imagination.
Well, it's not surprising to hear that, at home, you're a pretty playful person. Obviously, that's something that comes through in all of your characters, but also in all of your writing as well. I mean, is it just like imagination mayhem when you're at home with your family, or
full improv show all day long? Yeah, it's full improv 101 class all day long.
That's amazing. All your whole career has been leading up to this point of entertaining a 5-year-old.
I taught improv 101, never anything above that, and I know why. It's because I'm really good at playing and making people think they're funny and keeping going. But after that, if I have to give notes, that's when it gets rough for me.
Did you start? I mean, at what point during some of these like sessions did you stop and think to yourself, this is a book. This has to get put down in a book that other families can enjoy as well? The
prospect of writing a book of some kind came up. I had pitched another idea for much older kids. And then I had always wanted to write comic books, and I was kind of just figuring out that space a little bit. And then they said, have you ever thought about a children's book? And I was like, never really had like an idea that really got me. And then that idea came to me. And very shortly afterwards, I was very lucky to get to do it.
Did you bring your daughter into the process at all when you were sitting down like in earnest to write out this idea? Did you ever go to her and try to rekindle some of those like late night giddy moments?
She edited the whole book. She is now editor for Penguin Kids. Yeah, she's doing great.
She's on a great track.
She's crushing it. No, I didn't. I wish I did. I think I read it to her before we sent it in, but I think she just thought it was another silly book.
Yeah. Well, that's funny.
I wonder if like, as your daughter grows and starts to sort of discover more of your body of work, is there a character that you've done or like a specific piece of work that you are most excited to share with her?
Gosh, not really. I have no urge to show her my work. She'll find it. My dream would be for her to come to me one day and be like, hey, I think I'm a comedy fan. Have you ever heard of this thing called Saturday Night Live? And I would be like, yeah, I used to love it when I was a kid. And then let her go like, wait, there's this guy that looked like that would be my dream, would be just to find it all organically. But like, yeah, no, I mean, like some of the cartoons, like she loves Secret Life of Pets, and I'm in that. Like, there's a couple things, but I don't think there's a correlation yet. I don't think she hears the laugh and she kind of looks at me and goes like, "Why is your voice coming out of this stuffed dog?" But like, there's some recognition, but it doesn't matter to her, and that makes me really happy because it shouldn't.
Over your career, it seems like you've done a ton of work developing characters or taking on the persona of characters that are either for kids or really like tangentially related to kids. Has the process that you go through for developing characters, has that changed at all since the birth of your daughter?
I mean, somewhat, I guess. I think like not just the birth of my daughter, but also just the world in general. Like, I think I used to play a lot of people. Like, I used to think it was funny to play people like Drunk Uncle a lot. Like, these lovable idiots who don't really know what they're saying. But now I don't necessarily find that funny anymore.
Yeah. So, I wonder why.
Yeah. And it's like, so like stuff like that is definitely different. And I mean, like fundamentally at my core, I'm still the same idiot I always was, but like, but having a daughter definitely makes you go, well, do I want to do this? You know, like, or is this the right thing to do? Definitely. But but I don't think I was that scandalous before or after. So I think the worst thing is the Lofi the manatee or something like that, where it's just like, she'll understand that like I cursed a lot.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, my kids already swear up a storm, so we haven't kind of just throwing that out there. If your kid starts swearing,
how old are they?
4.5. Is that too young?
Fantastic. I love it. Mine doesn't yet. Mine is still very much in the world of like, if someone says stupid, like you're going to jail.
Oh yeah,
God,
that's a bad one.
That's not a good word. So I can't. I don't think we've heard any bad words out of her yet. But I'll get there.
Man, I don't know. They picked up stupid from. I'm just going to blame it. I mean, they picked up stupid from school. That was not me and their mom. But
where did they pick up stupid fucking Ron DeSantis? That was me and their mom.
That's fine. Tell them to say that all day long. I'll make T-shirts that say that. Little onesies. Fuck DeSantis onesie is a fantastic merch.
Seems like you always have a lot going on in your life. I'm making an assumption here, but that during maybe the height of the pandemic, I have to assume you weren't traveling quite as much. I mean, you mentioned being in a hotel now. So again, assuming there was probably a little bit more at home time, family time, quality time, and now things are opening up again a little bit. Is that challenging at all for you now?
Yeah, it was. I mean, like I spent the age of 2 to 5 with my daughter just playing, like the pandemic was just playing for forever. And I think that's something I excel at. That's something I'm pretty good at. So like I was happy to have that time to sit and play for so long. But now, yeah, I'm from New York. I hadn't the longest I had ever been away from New York was 2.5 years, the pandemic. So now to come back, it's a little crazy. And I talked to my daughter this morning, and I go back on Friday, and she was like, maybe you sneak out and come home tonight.
Oh, man.
And it's very, that part's really hard because on the one hand, like it's work, you have to go do it. And then you go, wow, I really was afforded 3 years of just staying home and playing. So when I'm like, I'm going to work, she goes like, very funny. When are you going to be back?
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So that part of it's a little rough, but
some seriously pivotal years there too. So many changes in that time frame from 2 to 4 and 2 to 5.
Even just the last 6 months has been insane. I mean, like I feel like you would see the jumps earlier in like you would see like every 3 weeks there would be like a big change, or you would get used to something, or like, okay, like now this is how we deal with the baby. And then 3 weeks later it was different. But now it's like just like one day child, next day, like this whole brand new door of life has opened, and you're just like, oh my goodness, like, wow, like she grew a lot in the last 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty nuts. Those jumps of just cognizance. That part of it is something new that I'm dealing with right now. It's like, this is my first time away for a week, and it's pretty rough. I have 2 weeks coming up, but now we already planned. They're coming out for a week. Like, it's like, we just don't enjoy being away from each other.
How is it with production, or at least in reference to the projects that you're working on? Like, is it back in full swing? Are people doing 10, 12-hour production days, or have things become a little bit more comfortable because of the risk of losing crew members and losing talent?
No, it never stopped. I mean, I shot 2 seasons of a television series in the middle of the pandemic. It was terrifying. I mean, I'm not saying like I deserve a medal for going to work, but, a lot of those crew guys and everybody was there, and we were shooting. It was just back to normal, but the show must go on. It's like I don't think it skipped a beat.
So it doesn't give you more of an opportunity to sort of like break and fly home, or to, or even just spend more time, like, checking in with your daughter before bedtime. If you're on set, you're there. And
I try and make it my priority. And like, no matter what, even if I'm working, I try and make daughter first. When I was on SNL, for 9 years. I met my wife a few weeks before SNL. We started dating.
Oh, wow.
And we got married a couple weeks after we finished. And it was like, life was on hold because of my job, and she was on Broadway. Wow. So my day off was Sunday, hers was Monday. So for 9 years, we hardly saw each other, but we knew we loved each other and we were going to get married someday. And then it was like the second we had a chance, we got married, we had a baby. And like that part of like that, like the job was everything. SNL was everything to me. It was all consuming my entire life at that time. And that's not the case anymore. I was on Mr. Mayor, and like it was nice to kind of take a step back and go, okay, they've hired me. I read these lines and then I go home. It's not like I have to be there 72 hours a day and no sleep and panic, and then it gets cut. And, you know, it was just a job, and it was nice to have just a job for a little while. I miss the hustle and bustle of SNL and like the romanticizing of like staying up all night and writing stuff and then doing the show. But that time is over. It's now I go like, oh, I would love 10 minutes of silence. That would be great.
We should end our interview that way. We should just sit here in silence and let everybody enjoy the silence for 5 minutes at the end.
I did a job recently, and when they came like a acting job, and when they came back from lunch, you know, it was a job that had been going on and I was just a guest star. And when we came back from lunch, they went, okay, everybody. And everybody just stopped and very, very quietly just stopped and started taking big, deep breaths for like a minute and a half. Everybody was doing it. And it was the best. Like it was the best. I was like, this was great. Just a 5-minute little reset. Like, yeah. With everybody, like it kind of, I think I was somebody who back in the day would have been like, come on, we're going to just do this. Yeah. But like, I actually appreciated it a great deal. I felt very connected to everybody. It actually felt wonderful.
That's cool.
It actually is amazing. Yeah. I mean, doesn't it? I mean, there are studies, but doesn't it like change your brain chemistry to stop and reset like that? It's something that we practice with our kids a lot.
Yeah, I had both my parents passed away 6 months after my daughter was born, like pretty unexpectedly. And it was pretty rough. And I started like therapy and meditating then. And it helps a great deal. And then when I kind of stopped meditating for a little bit, I kind of felt it go away, and then now have started again. And it's extremely helpful. And now that I'm a little bit deep into it, you know, it's a little bit easier to, like, it's hard to jump into it right away, but now it's a little bit easier to get back into it. And I always feel better when I do it.
Have you practiced that with your daughter at all? I find that with my kids, especially when they're in a terrible mood, they're pissed about something, they're sad about something. If I can get them to stop and like breathe with me for even 30 seconds, that can be the thing that just flips the switch.
Yeah, she's very good about it. The weird thing is she came up to, I was in a mood. I had some look on my face, and she said, Dad, I sit down, take 6 deep breaths. And I realized she takes meditation in school. Like she has meditation in school, and we do it. I'd like to do it more at home, but like, no, she's very good with it. Or if she gets a little frustrated, I think maybe we need a little space right now, and she'll go take a minute and come back and say, I took some deep breaths. I feel better now. And it's just like, can I introduce you to my mother and father somehow? Because I would love for them to see this.
Yeah, that's amazing. I feel like back to when, I mean, we're all probably fairly close in age to one another. And we just didn't have shit like that when I was younger. We didn't talk. I mean, maybe somebody probably yelled at me to stop and take a deep breath from time to time. But the notion of like people coming together and moving through a moment together like that, or taking stock and trying to be more present and, integrating ideas from things like yoga. I mean, it just was not part of the conversation when I was a kid at all. It makes me hopeful, I suppose, is a good word to think that there are kids, our kids that are a little bit more in tune with the positives.
And have the act. I mean, like if I told my father I was going to therapy, I think he would have been like, "Are you going to go to a magician after that?" Like, you know what I mean? And the fact that that's already a possibility. Like if anything, if anything goes wrong, she can talk. Like I would love for her to talk to a therapist, and like just that alone is comforting. I know that she's not growing up in the same world that I grew up in, and that's really comforting. But then I get scared. Now I get scared about what happens when I go, because that happened to me, and that side of it. That's a whole nother podcast.
Dad's links to all of Bobby's work, some of Bobby's work, not all of it, some of it. And his social media links can all be found in the episode notes. Bobby Moynihan, we so appreciate you sharing some of your time with us on the release day of Not All Sheep Are Boring. And Mark and I want to wish you and your family nothing but the best.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. What a pleasure.
Hey, get that nap in later on.
I will try. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Dad.
Oh, Mark Andrew.
Yes, Adam Jehoshaphat?
As I teased at the beginning of the episode, I want to do another kisses and disses because I don't know about you, but a lot of people told me after our last episode that they thought it was a really funny segment.
My phone was ringing off the hook, dude. I had to do that. I had to take it off the hook and just yeah, man. Huge hit. Why don't you play the intro themes? Who'd you get to record that? Was that a band? Is that a local band?
Taylor Swift. I just texted her and said, "Can you just riff on something for a little bit?" And then she texted it to me.
What can't she do? You know.
This is my 8-year-old daughter.
Oh, I knew it.
She's very sort of theatrical anyway, but she's been singing along to some of her favorite songs recently, but like really getting passionate about it. Yeah. And so I said, can you just sort of riff on a theme song and do something? Pulled out a couple snippets and stitched them together and added a little guitar to it. And there's your theme.
What a beautiful collab. I love it.
And it sounds like this.
Kisses and disses. Disses are bad. Kisses are good. You can hear both in modern dadhood.
Here's how this works. We're going to read one that's a good review, and then we're going to read another one that's a not good review to help us keep our egos in check so we don't get too inflated.
Just got to keep the universe in balance a little bit.
That's right. This is a 5-star review. I believe this is from Apple Podcasts. This is from a person by the name of Gerald Franklin. Gerald goes on to say, "Super podcast for dads of all ages!" Exclamation point. My kids are grown, and I love listening to this podcast. It reminds us how important dads are and how we are still dads no matter how old our kids are. It's enjoyable, informative, and these dudes are a lot of fun to listen to. Nice work, guys.
Thanks, Gerald. That's
what
very
an
sweet of you.
amazing review. What a wonderful thing. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences. That guy took time out of his day.
1 star for each sentence.
That's probably what he was thinking. Yeah.
Okay, here's the diss.
I'm feeling a little high right now. Can you?
Let me bring you back down to earth because
Thank
you're
you.
not going to like this one so
Oh,
much.
no.
The writer is anonymous.
Of course.
The subject of this review is "The arrogance is astounding."
Ooh.
And here's what Anonymous wrote.
Oh.
You twerps think just because you have a podcast that you're better dads than all the other dads. The episode with Michael Ian Black was like one big circle jerk. Get off your high horses. And then in parentheses, he says,
It just keeps going.
in parentheses, it says, mostly applies to Mark. I almost didn't want to tell you that part. 3 stars.
Well, all right.
It's not that bad, right?
It's not that bad. I won't say I'm not hurt a little bit.
I know that sting. My voice sounded like a Triscuit last week.
That's true. That's true. That is what some horrible person said. Well, listen, I wish Anonymous well.
You're taking the high road.
I'll leave it at that.
Good for you, man.
I'm not going to say what other people might were they in my shoes. I'm not going to say the things that those people would say. Things like that guy should go to hell. He's a piece of shit. He's
too cowardly to even state his own name.
Those are the things that we're not going to say.
That's admirable to take the high road. Dads listening, we would invite you to leave a review on Apple Podcasts for the show. And your review could be featured in a future Kisses and Disses segment. Wouldn't that be special?
Could be.
Modern Dadhood cannot in good conscience guarantee the authenticity of negative reviews read aloud in the Kisses and Disses segment.
I think that kicks us right into the closing of our Bobby Moynihan episode. Here's what I will ask you to do. Tell a friend about the show.
Oh, that'd be great.
You can tell them by word of mouth. I mean, you can email them, you can Slack them, you can SMS, text them. I don't care. Tell one friend about the show this weekend.
You could do semaphore if you know that, if you're into it.
Well, what you're demonstrating here with your hands looks like the thing that people at the airport do when they're guiding a plane into a terminal.
That's basically what semaphore is. You can find us at moderndadhood.com. That's the internet site where, that's our home base on the internets. Okay. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. We're there. We're all of those places. We have a YouTube channel.
Hey, if people go to moderndadhood.com and they wanted to buy something that had our logo on it, what could they find there?
I know this one. We have sick t-shirts and dad hoodies.
Also on the website, there's a form where you can contact us, or you can email us directly anytime at hey@moderndadhood.com. As always, we want to thank Casper Baby Pants and Spencer Albee for the music, the theme music to Modern Dadhood. We always want to thank Pete Morse at Red Vault Audio. A special thanks to Bobby Moynihan for coming on to chat with us. Please check out his book, Not All Sheep Are Boring, wherever books can be found. And the last one, Mark.
Oh. Thank you for listening.
Podcast. Just a modern.